The snow continued to flow down heavily onto the pavement of Hokkaido as two teenagers trudged through the snow. Are you sure it's all right for you to go through the snow like this? It's still snowing pretty heavily. Shoto said to Momo, watching her shiver her way through the thick snow. Todoroki hadn't felt much of the snow at all due to his resistance, however, he knew the feeling of freezing better than most. I'm fine SS Shoto. Really? Momo stuttered as they trudged on. The snow wasn't as bad as the mountain tops, but that didn't make it easy. The snow blurred their vision, the wind almost knocking them off course, the gray sky mixing with the buildings surrounding the roads. For Momo, each icy breeze felt like a stab to the face, the tiny snowflakes collectively freezing her solid. Todoroki rolled up his sleeves as the fire burned on his arm. Thank you Shoto, Momo said, inching closer to the fire on his arm. Momo, Todoroki said almost sweetly through his usual monotone voice. We don't need to do this today. We have to get information soon. We have a lead, and Midoriya is sooner or later going to out himself. Momo called out over the storm, remembering seeing Izuku fly through the sky and land from their apartment window. Todoroki frowned. You say that, but we can barely see where we're going. We won't make it to the construction site, he said. Momo looked at him before exhaling icily. She had convinced Shoto to go out to the construction site to do some investigating under the impression that it would be cleared, no one there from the sudden snowstorm. However, this was getting increasingly dangerous. All right, let's head back. Oi! A voice called out from the snow. Suddenly a pair of yellow lights appeared through the thick mist and snow until a truck pulled up next to the two ex-students. What are kids like you doing out in the snow? It's way too. Momo. The man called out from a roll down the window. Momo squinted at the burly man in the truck. Mr. Uraraka, what are you doing here? Momo stammered. This wasn't good. They were supposed to be undercover. I was shutting down my construction site. I didn't expect to see two UA students here. As many questions as I have, I'm not leaving you guys in this storm. Come, hop in. Mr. Uraraka said. Momo and Todoroki heard the clicks of the doors unlocking from the truck. Both looked at each other before climbing into the back seat. Momoi sighed at the rush of heat from the warmth of the vehicle, thankful to be out of the harsh snow as Todoroki sat comfortably next to her. They both put their seatbelt on as Mr. Uraraka stepped slowly on the gas, moving the vehicle forward at a slow, safe speed. Todoroki gave directions back to the apartment building. So I know Momo. Ochako introduced us a while ago. Mr. Uraraka started. I've seen you from the sports festival. You're Endeavor's son. Yes, Shoto said simply. Mr. Uraraka nodded. Now I wasn't born yesterday, kids. I know my daughter and her boyfriend's location is supposed to be a secret to everyone but us parents. It's only by coincidence that my wife and I are here. It's hard for me to believe that's the case with you too. Mr. Uraraka looked at the two from the rearview mirror. Sorry for butting into your business, but this is my daughter we're talking about. Tell me, why are there two UA students near my daughter when she's supposed to be in hiding? Momo gulped, turning her head towards Todoroki, who had nothing to say. We were. Momo started, however, Todoroki jumped in last minute. We've been put in charge of watching over Midoriya and Uraraka while they are training and preparing. If we notice any strange activity, we report it to Aizawa-sensei. It would be a strange move to relocate them without any supervision whatsoever. Mr. Uraraka stared at the boy for a moment before responding, turning his attention back to the road. I thought no one would know specifically for the reason that no one could find them. Even those closest to them. He asked questionably. Sorry kids, but you're hiding something that has to do with my daughter. I need to know what that is. The two in the back remained silent for a few moments, the sound of the muffled truck engine and the turning of wheels through snow giving a rather nervous ambiance to the situation. Momo and Shoto stared at each other before nodding together. We can't give too much information. But we have reason to believe villains that have Izuku Midoriya as a target are here in Sapporo, Hokkaido. They have more than one target, other than Izuku Midoriya. We don't know whether or not they know Izuku Midoriya or Ochako Uraraka are here. If they did, they would have been found by pure chance. However, we were sent to ensure Midoriya and Ochako are not caught, and if possible, prevent the capture of their other unknown target. Momo said honestly, looking at her knees. There was no other way, plus this may benefit them in the long run. Mr. Uraraka sighed. So they're located here for another person, huh? Mr. Uraraka frowned, thinking back on Midoriya's words. There is no choice to be made. I'll save them both. I'm assuming you kids have an idea where these villains are. Mr. Uraraka asked. We have reason to believe. They may be involved with the hospital you're currently refurbishing. Momo said. Mr. Uraraka furrowed his eyes. The person funding this hospital is a well-known public doctor. You really think villains may be involved? Mr. Uraraka asked. I have a lot of money riding on this. We wouldn't want to ruin anything your family has going for you. That's another reason we were being so secretive. But I swear to you. Momo bowed in the car seat as best she could. There's something potentially wrong with the hospital. If you know of any strange things going on, strange people, or anything, please let us know. Momo stayed bowed as Mr. Uraraka was once again examining her from the rear-view window. He turned his attention back to the snow-piled road, now slowly pulling into the apartment building that they were renting out. He sighed. This was a lot of money they were being paid to refurbish this hospital. But his daughter's safety, even if it's a low chance, was more important. And in fact, there was an odd request Dr. Asagiri had mentioned repeatedly. Underground. Mr. Uraraka said simply, putting the car in park. Momo and Todoroki stared questioningly. They don't want us to even remotely touch the foundation or underground. They said it's due to recent pipework, but I've always assumed it was more. Dr. Asagiri, she runs the whole thing. She's one of the assistants to Dr. Kudai Garaki, a well-known doctor. She's from Tokyo, a well-received doctor in her own right, but as wonderful as she is theirs. Aside to her. A special one, but I don't see it often. A lady with a lab coat and red hair. She is one of the biggest voices that insist we don't look underground. I didn't mind, we never needed to go underground since the foundation is strong, but it always did seem weird. Todoroki and Momo looked at each other. That was a start. A big one. Asagiri walked through the halls of the detention center, reading notes with a creepy smile. Things were being set up nicely. The person walking next to her, however, was not as smiley. You seem awfully cheerful for what kind of situation we have at hand. Aizawa said, giving a questionable look. Unless you've made progress with Kurogiri. Now Eraserhead, Dr. Asagiri said, lowering her clipboard, giving Aizawa as cheerful of a smile as she could. I know this might be the dead body of your friend, but if we can figure this out, this could lead to answers about the other Nomu. You seem to know a lot about these Nomu regardless of Kurogiri's condition. Aizawa said, his red eyes slightly glowing. Asagiri stopped, lowering her notes even further. Her face now serious as can be. I see what you're doing, Eraserhead. If you think I'm one of the enemy, please just tell me to leave already. If not though, I'd like to continue my research in peace. Aizawa and Asagiri stared at each other before Aizawa turned, continuing towards Kurogiri's room. Asagiri's face remained the same until the creepy smile returned. It didn't matter if they suspected her. They already knew where most of the pieces for her plan were. The two walked into Kurogiri's room, where the villain sat once again locked up. Present Mike not making it today? Asagiri asked, as she inspected Kurogiri's unconscious body. Aizawa shook his head. There's only so much of this he can take alongside other issues, Aizawa said. You know, I think they're having a snowstorm in the northern region of Hokkaido right now. Really? I don't know how that would affect here, Eraserhead, Asagiri said, not looking at Aizawa. That's one lousy conversation starter. Even I can attempt, Aizawa said coolly. So you think we can get my friend's personality out of there? He could give us useful information. It's possible. If I can find the person with the right quirk, then I'm sure we can. Unless you think you can just talk to him and get the information yourself. Asagiri said, looking at Aizawa. Aizawa shrugged. It's worth a shot later on, but if you have a quirk for it, by all means. Asagiri nodded, standing and stepping from behind the glass Kurogiri was behind. That's all we'll do for today. I have some people to contact about getting some sort of amplification quirk. We can amplify his personality from the Nomus. Aizawa nodded as the two exited the room. Yusuke waited as Asagiri suddenly climbed into the car. Huh. He thought he could catch me. Snow is dropping heavily in Hokkaido. Huh. You won't get your answers that easily, Eraserhead. Asagiri said, starting the car. Sounds like you had fun. What are you waiting for, Asagiri? Yusuke asked as the two drove away from the facility. If we have use of Kurogiri, then why not just take him? We have to play things carefully, Asagiri explained. I told Eraser that we needed someone with an amplification quirk. Little does he know I have one. We already know where Izuku Midoriya, Hima Asagiri, and Eri are. Now we just need the last one on our list. You talking about that copy quirk kid? Yusuke asked. Asagiri nodded. Yes, though the boss hadn't told me why. Re-Destro? Yusuke asked. Asagiri shook her head. You know better than I do that Re-Destro doesn't pull the strings anymore. Shigaraki holds the power. He's the one looking for the quirks he needs. Yusuke shrugged, leaning back in the seat to take a nap. However, as he slept, the smile from Asagiri's face faded. Shigaraki may be in charge for now, but the true brains behind it were her true boss. And she had questions for him. Why did he need all these quirks? And why did he want two of them specifically when all four were important for his plan? One for all, Overseer, Rewind, and Copy. Along with her Amplify quirk, what did he have in mind? She hated being left in the dark like this. Why specifically those quirks? And why hadn't the doctor told her of the full plan? No more. No more being left in the dark. Asagiri turned on her blinker, turning left. It was time to visit the doctor.